Hello and welcome back to Hope After. This is a space for couples walking through the impact of pornography on their marriage, where we slow things down, speak honestly, and begin to rebuild what has been shaken. And today's conversation is a gentle but important one, because in the aftermath of discovery, words matter more than we realise. Not because anyone is trying to hurt the other, but because both of you are speaking from a place of shock, confusion, and pain. And sometimes what's said in those early days can either begin to build safety or quietly erode it. Now, you might recognize this if you found yourself saying something and then wishing you could take it back, or hearing something and feeling like the ground dropped beneath you again. Do you know that feeling where even a small comment lands with so much weight? That's because this isn't a normal conversation. We're not just talking about how was your day. We're talking about trust, identity, safety, and what your marriage means. Jez, in those early conversations, were there things said on either side that didn't help, even if they were meant to help?
Well, yeah, of course they were. I think the biggest one for me was, we just seemed to be, you just kept asking the same questions. I probably just kept giving you the same answers. The only way I could answer it by what I'd said before.
Yeah, and I think by repeating the answer, it wasn't that, maybe you were getting a bit frustrated or a bit fearful, and then you say things that come out of that frustration or fear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it is frustration because, both of us are wanting things to move on, not knowing how to.
Yeah.
And I think I can just remember saying to you maybe once or twice, I can't quite remember, but it was a completely wrong thing to say, are you still asking these questions?
I think it was something like that, wasn't it? It was something like, are we still going on about this?
Yeah, because I thought we'd sort of like kind of cleared it up, and it was like, how many times can you have the same conversation?
And what I noticed was that Jez would immediately shut down if I tried to talk about it. I could see his eyes sometimes glazing over, not really knowing how to sit in any of the emotional discomfort or pain, not knowing how to deal with perhaps how I was feeling. And other times we would just say things that were really quite hurtful to one another without really meaning to. We just were both reacting and not really understanding one another.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely, that's completely it. But not having like we've spoken about, this structure which we've set up.
Yeah.
If we had that in place, I think all those questions and the answers, it wouldn't have needed to carry on as it was.
No, we would have been able to address them and to deal with them in a connected way. So what we want to do today is to gently walk through some scenarios and phrases that come up often, not to shame either side, but to acknowledge, this is real life. And we also want to bring awareness to this, because when you understand what certain words do in this space and at this time, you can maybe begin to choose something different or learn how it's impacting the other people. So I remember saying something like, when you first told me that you had a porn addiction, I kind of was like, what is a porn addiction? And just saying, well, can't you just stop? And I think as I was saying it, half of me was thinking, okay, he's just told me he has an addiction. I really think he should be able to stop this. And then half of me was thinking, actually, he's explained he can't stop. But I just wanted to say, why can't you just stop?
But I also think that you didn't quite believe that there was such a thing called porn addiction. It is strange to say that I've got a porn addiction.
I know. I didn't understand that at all. I couldn't get my head around that. But when I blurted out that, well, why can't you just stop? It just came from a place of pain. It landed with pressure and misunderstanding.
But also that when you said that, I think I immediately said, yes, I can stop. I will stop.
Yeah, because then it was like, I can't stop, but now I am going to stop.
Yeah,
now I've been caught out.
Been caught out and I've got to stop.
Yeah. So, but then of course you can't stop. And because that assumption is on you, why can't you stop? Why can't you just stop? That's going to make you feel pretty rubbish. That's going to make you feel like a failure, that you weren't really understood about your addiction. And maybe I didn't want to understand it, but.
Well, I think, to begin with, already, before you even found out I'm carrying this guilt, this shame, I shouldn't be doing this. I've got a beautiful wife who gives me everything that I need. Why am I doing it? Why do I still need it? What is the cause? Why? Because for many years, all I wanted to do was to stop.
Yeah. So me just like throwing that arrow right into the why can't you do it? So yes, that isn't a good thing to say to your spouse. It is a real one, but it's really the heart of it.
Yeah, but what else are you meant to say?
I don't know. It is really tricky. Why can't you just stop? Why can't you just stop? You're an alcoholic, stop drinking. You're a gambler, stop gambling.
Yeah.
So this is where the whole addiction and understanding about addiction is really important in the healing process. And that's something that we go into in great detail in the early stages. So if you really loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Now, this comment ties...
I really did love you. I didn't want to do it.
Well, why did you do it? This ties behaviour directly to love. And while that makes sense emotionally, it can shut down honest conversation. And it increases shame rather than responsibility. How did you feel, Jez, if I said, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have done it?
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. Like I said, I do love you. I really didn't want to do it. And I knew that for a long time.
So, yeah, it's just going to pile on shame. So, number 3, it's basically cheating. So, used too early or as an accusation, it's basically cheating is exactly how it feels for some. And that really does matter. But when it's used as a statement in that way, it can escalate defensiveness before any understanding has begun. A better direction might be something like, this has made me feel deeply betrayed. Because in my eyes, it did feel like he was cheating because he's taking his sexual energy and his sexual attention elsewhere. And that to me felt like cheating. Speak into this one, Jez.
Yeah, I understand that now, but I personally didn't see it as I was cheating. But yeah, of course I was, because I was hiding a secret from you. So hiding that secret is kind of cheating, and it was a sexual type of thing, even though it wasn't with a real person.
Yeah.
So perhaps I was a bit misled myself by thinking that I wasn't cheating on you because it wasn't with another person.
I think also it's fair to say, which you've shared with me, is you weren't really thinking whether I was thinking cheating or not, because you weren't giving me a second thought at the time. I didn't enter.
Yeah, see, I think you probably were in the back of my mind, because I knew that I didn't want to be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. But the addiction just kept on driving. That had the lead role in it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this leads us straight on to, another thing about being physical. And I was thinking, at least it wasn't physical. This one often comes from the husband, obviously, trying to minimize, reassure, calm the situation. But for many wives, this just feels dismissive of the emotional impact.
Yeah, because I don't care whether it's physical or not. You've done something in secret that involved you lusting or looking at other women, and by minimizing it, and at least it wasn't an affair, or at least it wasn't physical, or at least it wasn't someone you knew, or whatever, that at least it wasn't sentence starter is going to immediately make me defensive, and it's minimizing the impact on me, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't realize about emotional connection. I thought I was kind of helping. I wasn't understanding the depth of it all.
Yeah. Okay, so another sentence or statement that is probably best avoided is...
Yeah, I felt as well that, you just kept asking the same questions, and I just felt the need or the thought that we had moved on from it.
So statements like, oh, we just need to move on, or you're going on about that again, or oh, I thought we'd got over that.
That's just trying to push the shift back onto not the shift, put the blame back onto you.
Yeah. And obviously something had happened and I was feeling uncomfortable and I hadn't processed any pain. So everything, I've been triggering. I would have triggers and stuff would happen. My face would drop. Jez would notice what's wrong, and I'll go, "Oh, it's that thing," or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think we was just in this like kind of a vicious circle, weren't we? It just carried on the same topic without the moving on.
Yeah, because we hadn't moved on because we hadn't processed any of it. We hadn't done any of the deeper work. So often those things, it's going to be a bit frustrating for the man and deeply painful for the woman. So these things just resurface later when they're brushed under the carpet. So those are 5 things that we recommend not bringing into the conversation early on. None of these phrases come from a bad place. They all come from pain or fear or confusion and not knowing what to do next. But when left unexamined, they can keep couples stuck in those cycles of reaction, which is what you were just saying.
Yeah, and that just, I don't know, it just felt like a lifetime of all those feelings, like you say, the fear, I'm worrying, what am I meant to say to you? Yeah. Are you going to bring those questions up again? And we're going to go through the whole cycle again. And again, without moving on is something that we really didn't do.
No, we didn't know. So if you're listening together, you might gently reflect on some of these. Are there phrases that we've been using or you've been using that haven't helped? It might be important to share them openly with your husband or your wife. Maybe you need to be asking, what do we actually need from each other in these conversations? And also, how can we speak in a way that builds safety and not distance? When we talk about safety, what we mean is it's about your inner world feeling steady and secure and able to rest. It includes things like feeling able to relax rather than constantly being on edge, not second guessing everything you're being told, and feeling emotionally safe to be open without fear of being dismissed or misled, and feeling that what is said matches what is actually real. So basically, safety is disrupted when there's secrecy or hidden behavior or broken trust or minimizing, dismissing concerns, or just making you not feel like not loved, not respected, not safe. It's called a loss of relational safety. And that's what we're referring to when we talk about safety in this episode, in this podcast. It means that you're going to feel alert, unsettled, watchful, unable to fully relax, unable to be yourself. That's what it means, a loss of relational safety. And that's caused by the person that you want to feel safe with. So, Jez, let's talk about how you had to learn a new language, which was part of the latest stages in our program that we've put together. Learning a new language for the man is something that he's probably never really had to do before. It involves something which is called emotional intimacy, and it was quite tricky.
More than tricky. When you mentioned about the emotional intimacy, the physical intimacy, for years and years and years, all I thought intimacy was sex.
Yeah.
But learning this new language, which it's been a real learning curve for me, because you really do have to think about what you're going to say and how you respond to questions.
Yeah.
I just remember that, when we went through, starting to do this emotional intimacy, it was just a real game changer. Just that alone was massive, and how that started drawing us a little bit closer. And I do remember saying many a times, when you wanted to talk about how you was hurting, and I would respond with, yes, I do understand that you're hurting, but I'm hurting too.
Yeah.
That's just, after starting to learn about how you change in your language, I soon learnt how that was even more hurtful to Joanne to say that, because basically it wasn't about my hurt. I'm the one that's done the damage. So yes, I am hurting, but she doesn't want to hear about my hurt. She wants me to hear about her hurt.
Certainly not at that early stage. I needed to explain how I was hurting, and I needed you to acknowledge that. And by saying something like, well, I'm hurting too, it hasn't, you've deflected it. You've defended yourself. You've kind of compared my pain to your pain. All it does is it just means that I haven't been heard.
Did it make you feel quite angry when I said that? Because I remember your face changing.
My face probably just dropped. I was just like, I can't believe I'm actually trying to talk and you're actually not listening. So we've done a lot of work on emotional connection, how to connect, what sort of questions to ask one another, conversation prompts and things like that, which are really going to help for both of you to open up and share properly, clearly, and at the right time. Yeah. You had to learn also about staying present and not shutting down, because something that you did a lot, particularly in the early stages, was not just wouldn't walk off in a huff, but I would try to talk, and there was like this, your body kind of just stopped. And
I think it's just because we're just going over that same subject again, and I didn't have the correct answers in me to be able to sit down and talk to you and make you feel safer, a bit more trusting towards me.
That's right. And you would just kind of shut down or bring the conversation to an end, or find something that needed doing in the house, let the dog out, or something that would prevent the conversation from continuing, because you didn't have the language to navigate through the things that we needed to talk about.
Yeah, and I think it was also because I'm thinking we've got to go, and I think we've said a few times now about having to go over this same conversation again. We're not moving forward. And I just felt it was just going to be another one of those conversations where we're going to say, or I'm, at least myself, I'm going to say the same answers. And it just comes with the same result, which is nothing has been solved.
And it wasn't until you had the language to, or the knowledge and the language to know how to listen to me properly and how to respond to me properly, that I was then not needing to repeat that same conversation. We didn't need to go over it again and again and again.
I know, because I just remember that first time we sat down on the sofa there and we was doing this course again, and just by learning what I'd learned, just seemed to happen so quickly, this connection that we were regaining. I know it wasn't, sorted, but you could just see the change, or I could see the change in your personality. Which I'm thinking, I just remember in my head taking this really deep breath, thinking we're actually getting somewhere.
Yeah, it felt like it was the old me coming back. I felt like I was being listened to, that I did feel recognised, that my pain was being expressed in a healthy way. And Jez really understood it and was able to allow me room and allow me to comfort me in exactly the right way that I needed comforting. And of course, we didn't know how to do all that back then. So what we did do was either to, you'd shut down, or you wouldn't necessarily respond, or you might react, your face expression or something like that. And lots of men, they are going to defend and minimize and deflect. It's completely natural, or want to fix. But those aren't what the woman needs in order to feel safe.
No, and if there's one thing I could say to the guys out there, is patience. Real deep patience you need, and just really just try to get a real understanding of your wife. Because this time now, where we're at in our relationship now, I don't think I ever really did understand Joanne properly, but now I'm starting to really understand how she feels by this language that we're now using.
Yeah, and I feel that I'm actually being heard, and you really know how I'm actually feeling, and it's beautiful. And we've never had it before, and we've been married 20 years, and we've never had this before in our marriage. So it has been so important for us to learn what sort of things to say, what sort of things to not say, and how to react, and how to have those conversation starters and prompts. And it's helped our marriage. It's moved our marriage onto something so beautiful.
It's just a real shame that it's taken this long.
I know.
If we had this right at the beginning, we would have probably been in this place maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah. So this is where all the change begins, and it's not necessarily in perfect conversations, but it's in softer language, clearer honesty, and a willingness to understand before being understood. What we've seen and what research around relational repair supports is this: early communication patterns shape long-term recovery. Defensive or reactive language increases emotional distance. And safety is built more through tone and consistency than perfect words. And finally, couples who learn new ways of communicating tend to rebuild trust more steadily. So if you're recognizing some of these conversations that we've been having today and some of the patterns, you're not alone and you're not behind, because inside our reset pathway, we walk couples through how to communicate safely, how to understand what's really happening underneath, and how to begin rebuilding trust with clarity. You can find all the information at hope-after.com. And in the meantime, please keep listening to these podcast episodes. Share them if you need to. The goal isn't to say everything perfectly, it's to begin speaking in a way that allows healing to happen. And that can be learned. Thank you for being here with us today. If this episode helped you put words into something you've been feeling, you're welcome to share it with someone who might need it too. And wherever you are in your journey, there is still a way forward and there is hope after.